Hi, this is Jenny Sparks from Omnitech giving a demonstration video on a Siemens LT500 controller with a milliamp input, along with a LH100 from Siemens as well with a custom range of 0 to 12 feet of H2O. The LH100 is a hydrostatic, so it is a submersible pressure transmitter, and it is for an application where we have a 12-foot tank. At 11 feet, we want a relay to come on and to activate so that we can turn on a solenoid for a valve. So right now I'm going to just click the arrow button, doesn't really matter which one, just to activate the backlight. It will turn off. You can change the settings, but I believe this one is on about 30 seconds. So you can see at the top it says view 1. We do also have view 2 as well, so you can see a little bit more information. Level, space, and distance is displayed, along with if you have a relay. I do have one set up, as I mentioned, and a bar graph of the level. View 6, because we don't have any other views activated, we can add more if we wanted, is just a message, a messaging, basically if you have an alarm or any issue, but currently it's set up with no issue. So I'll just go back to view 1, and I do want to note that I have it wired up currently. So you can see here that the hydrostatic does have this venting tube. This is why we don't want to wire directly into the controller for a long-term application. Just for setup right now is no problem, but just for commissioning, but really we want to make sure that goes into the junction box that comes with the LH100 to make sure that it's vented properly. Also too, when you're wiring up, if you have one sensor, you want to make sure that you actually go on the lower, so that's 3, 4, and 5. I know it's kind of counterintuitive, but sensor 2 is actually on the top. So just something to be aware of. It is marked here as well, and all these terminal blocks are removable, so you can just give them a pull out and then install them back in as well. All right. So right now, I just have the hydrostatic in a bucket in my sink, just because I'm doing this display for you guys. So what I want to show is that, yes, I'm about 1.25 feet deep into that bucket of water, and you can see that that's what we have set up as level. So our unit is set for 0 to 12 feet. That means our 4 to 20 milliamp signal is also 0 to 12 scalable throughout that 4 to 20. All right, so a couple of things. If we need to change anything, we can always go through the quick start menu, quick start commissioning. We can go through it even when it is already pre-set up. This will override a setup, but you can step through it, it's no problem, or we can go into a specific instruction, like a specific setting, sorry, if we wanted to change something. For example, when we get this installed, and if the actual high level is going to be 11.9 or maybe only 11 feet. Maybe we want to scale it so that our relay goes off at 10 instead of 11. So currently it's 0 to 12 feet is the range. And we're expecting that once it drops a foot, 11, we want to turn on the solenoid to open the valve for more incoming water. So if we're going through quick commissioning, we would just hit level. If you wanted to set it up for space or distance, you can do that as well, and I can send further instructions, but really level makes the most sense. I have it in feet, so I'm going to keep it in feet there for you guys, just to make it easier. I'm clicking the right button here is our enter. If we want to make any changes, we can use the up and down. If we want to go back, we use the back button here, the left. So it's asking me what sensor type, so it's not a specific one, the LR100, 120, or LU240. If those are non-contact radar and ultrasonics, and they can just do more diagnostic features if they're set up. But really we want to go with a 4 to 20 milliamp device. So that's correct. That's what we have. Then we want the current at the lower calibration point to be 4 milliamps and at the current at the upper calibration point to be 20 milliamps. That's again just to scale that in level. So 4 is 0 and then 20 milliamps is 12. That could be changed. There's sometimes applications where we need to change that, but we don't need to in this case. So as you can see, my lower calibration point is 12 feet. Again, that's from the top down to the very bottom. How deep are we going? So that's when you install the sensor, if it ends up being something different, we don't have to change that. We can if we want to match it, but we can also keep that at 0 to 12, because if it does actually rise any higher, or if there's something happens with the application, it would show that. And then again, I have my upper calibration as 0. That's saying once I got to the top, how high would I be? So 0 to 12 is my upper. Next, response rate, we're gonna keep that on medium. And then I'm gonna just say, yes, I'm gonna apply commissioning. If I went through it and I realized, no, I didn't wanna do that, or I wanna make a change, you can just say no. But I'm gonna say yes. And as you can see, we have that 1.25, so that's 0 to 12. Now, my view is a little different than what it was because I went in and changed the view. So again, I'm gonna show you how to go into that. So we go into setup, and then I'm going to go into, local display. Now, anything in the manual as well, you see up top here, it says like 2.8, for example, or hopefully you can see that. Yeah, kind of with the glare. I've kept the plastic on because this is a customer's unit. So this says 2.8. That means you're basically down. See, this now says 2, so you're down 2. Then you go into here, and I'm gonna go down 8. Right now I'm at 7, 2.7, 2.8. Now it says 2.8.1. So basically, if you see anything in the manual that says, 5.2.1, that means 5 down the first page, 2 down the next page, etc., etc. Okay, so also this is where you can change the backlight, the brightness, different stuff like that, but you can go into view 1. So right now I'm gonna go into view 1. My type of value is I actually want to have a value, icons, and vertical bar graph because I want to show that I have a relay activated on that first screen if I do have one, or if it's open, like if it's not being used. So there we go. We're going to go into there. I've clicked enter, and I clicked again enter over. First value is going to be level. That's correct. And I'm just going to let it auto scale the graph because I don't need it to be specifically different. So now you can go back and you can see that view 1 now shows that graph bar and now shows that relay 1 is set up, but it is open. The other thing, if you want to go into maintenance and diagnostics, if you go down into memory card, I have it installed. There's full capacity there, there's free space, and then you go into data logging. Basically what you want to check for yourself is how often do you want to do that interval. The more often you do, then the faster that card gets used up. But of course there's tons of space there and you're only logging like 1 or 2 values. So I have this set as 5 minutes. It can be set anywhere you want, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 10 seconds, all the way down into, every second. I wouldn't suggest that unless you really need that data. But again, if there's a reason to, definitely do that. Just watch out when it gets full, it will stop writing or it will start overwriting. You can enable that as well. So I'm going to keep that on 5 minutes. And my process values that I want, my first value is going to be level. So basically I'm just going to be logging the level every 5 minutes. If we wanted to come back, grab that SD card and load it up to the computer, you could take a look at what that was. You have all the way up to 7 values. I don't see any other value that I personally would want to. Maybe the totalizer if you needed that, but that would be more of a volume application, how much you're consuming. So maybe you do want to use that, but that's up to you if you want to set that up. So right now I have it set up as level, just 1 value every 5 minutes, and I am not going to enable it until the customer. So this is where I wanted to just let you know that you want to make sure that you enable it. So go down to enable data logging. That's 3.7.5.8. And you just want to click enable and hit the right key. Again, I'm not going to do it because this is a customer's unit. So I'll just keep it disabled. But feel free to go in and enable it when you are starting up. And then if I want to set up, for example, just quickly into the relays. So basically I'm going to go into basic control. So again, quick commissioning is what we went into in the very beginning. Then we have pump control, basic control, and alarms. If we were using a pump, or multiple pumps, you do this quite often in like lift stations for water, or wastewater, and applications like that. We could set up, multiple pumps and have it on and off. But basically, we just want to turn on that solenoid on and off in this application. So we're going to go into basic control. Again, I'm clicking right. Basic control for level. Relay output 1. That's what I want to go into. I could go into a different one if you wanted to wire up differently. And then I have my on set point as 11 feet. If you wanted to change it, again, you just go into here. So like I mentioned, if once this is installed and say we're only at 11.5 feet and then you want the relay to actually activate at 10.5 feet, then you just go in here and just make that change. And then the offset point at this point I have on at 3 feet, just so that if there is an issue and something doesn't work, then it won't just keep trying to turn it on. If you want, you can change that. You could have that down to 0. Again, I just picked a number really. It gave you quite a wide range. So when it's between 11 and 12 feet, it does not have that relay activated. When it's between 11 and 3 feet, it does have that relay activated. So the valve itself is a normally closed valve. And so the relay here is normally opened. Basically, and again, the relays, you can take a look at the wiring in here. You can see 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can wire them all normally open. 1, 2, and 4, and 5, they are always normally open. That's just how it's wired. But you have an option for relay 3 and for relay 6 if you want to wire it normally closed. In this case, we want it to be normally open so that the solenoid on the valve is not activated, and when it is activated, it would then open that valve. I know that there's a couple different things going on there, and I can do out a little schematic diagram if anyone needs it, but that should make sense. So when you get this though, this will actually be wired into the junction box where the venting tube can go into, and then from that junction box you want to wire into here. I just have power here. Again, you can just drill out your cutouts there. So I just did this to show the unit. Oops, I hope I didn't lose focus that whole time. Okay, well, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I can provide my contact information, and we can also show how we can exercise and test this for insurance purposes in a different video.